She attended an event called Tales of Migration. She wasn't an immigrant, but she still wanted to participate. So she got up and told the story of her people. Indigenous Americans, Black Indians, descendants of slaves. She told the man to turn down all the lights when she got on stage and play Strange Fruit. Billie Holiday would only sing that song if the room was dark at first. With a flower in her hair, she told the story of her people. She told the story of her family, who were physically a part of the Trail of Tears. Emancipation was not solid. It didn't all change after one speech. While civil rights were acquired, they didn't have enough time to orientate themselves and regain their identity. She did that monologue to tell that story. Years and years before this, when she was 18, she took the test for the Navy and passed. However, she was pregnant at the time and wasn't going to give her first child up. So she deferred those plans and became a mom. However, not long after, she realized that she didn't have to defer her dreams for so long. She moved to her neighborhood in 1982 when she was 19 and has been there ever since, even being an honorary local leader. She works for public housing residents. Most people view public housing as a sore or something they'd be better without. Segregation still exists in some public housing, and it's important to change that. It's important to change the policies that are systematically racist and oppressive in that area. She became an activist to fix a problem, and her number one problem was public housing. However, she doesn't want to have to be an activist forever. She struggles every day with her position as an organizer because she believes you cannot organize in an area if you have pre-existing stereotypes. The bylaws of some public housing haven't been reviewed since 1994. 1994! So how are the public housing residents supposed to know what they're doing if the bylaws aren't being reviewed in order to tell them? She sees all that as systematic racism and oppression, and she sees a collaboration between local politicians and these resident councils. When it comes to politics, she says it's difficult for Black Americans to speak about it. As emboldened as I feel, I still feel veal-penned. Veal-penned. Veal-penned is when a young calf is born. They put some of them in these small pens so they don't develop any muscle. She feels public housing has become a veal pen for people like her. Instead of letting them exercise and develop through information, collaboration, creating their own advocacy and programming, they just veal pen them into this area. Which is why when pandemics like this occur, it's so easy to become an issue in public housing. This pandemic reiterates that they can't have this density without emergency plans in place. Every life is worth saving, and it's not just based on where you live. The young calves were bred for their pen. Saying that she was bred to be exploited and oppressed is nonsense. She has purpose in her life, so she is always kicking open the pen she's held in. She sees herself in one of the escaped animals on the freeway who is on the way to slaughter. That's what she tries to do with her advocacy and organizing. She tries to liberate and kick open the pen. She said herself liberating is a huge part of who she is. I'm a liberator. I like to liberate people. I like to make people free to be who they want to be and who they should be. She believes no one should take a job they'll be miserable in because they'll make everyone around them miserable too. Find a passion. Find what you want to do. It's important to find your passion in life. You can have more than one, too. Other than her advocacy, she was a commercial cooking caterer for over 15 years and brought that skill with her to the neighborhood. She feels that was a huge part of opening the pen for her. One of the things that's important to her is nutrition. How can I think straight if I'm not putting the right fuel into my body and eating the right food? It's important to know about nutrition, know how to use food to heal yourself. One day, she was sitting in this pandemic, finally calming herself after everything happening. She saw a Bible sitting in her room that she barely opened. Deciding to read it, she opened to a random page and read about how herbs and fruits were healing for the body. After reading this page, she didn't expect to open her email and find a message from a man saying he had 10,000 pineapples to donate and wanted her help to move them. Feeling it was a fated moment, she immediately said yes. She called local leaders and acquaintances, and they all gave out pineapples through their buildings. She had people come by and take pineapples in any way they could. She moved all those pineapples with ease. He gave her another 10,000 pineapples. Eventually, some of his colleagues wanted to donate too, and for weeks she had been distributing bananas, pineapples, and so much more. So much fresh produce was being spread to people in the area. 2 of her passions in life had turned into Operation Produce. So, how do you get out of the veal pen? In her words, it isn't about physically kicking the pen open. It's about creating the allies and foundation that allows policies to change, for lives to be uplifted, and for Black Americans to tell their story. Their story has been overshadowed for so long. Their movement was one of the first. And their movement is still being fought to this day, in this moment.